I'm Jake.
I'm Tom.
And we are VIMTV, Velocities in Music, the best kept secret in music reviews. Today, it is our pleasure to bring to you a review of Muse, The Second Law. Oh man, have you guys ever watched our review of The Resistance? The Resistance which came out in 2009, it was Muse's fifth album. It was the review, it was the album that made us know that we had to create Velocities in Music.
That's true.
Because all of the music critics loved it, they thought it was great, and every single person we talked to absolutely hated it. And it was just like, what are these music reviewers out there smoking? What is this, like, this culture club that they're in that it's like they have to like all the same stuff? Just stop it.
In fact, we talked a little bit about that in the interview we did recently. I'll have to put a link in the little Dropbox down there for people to check that out.
No, but The Second Law, we were kind of excited to see, is Muse going to come back? Are they gonna reclaim their awesome Brit rock mantle? No, they do not. I'm just going to come out and say it. The Second Law is the second pile of just crap we've heard from Muse. I'm just going to jump out there and say it. I wasn't a fan of this album. So let's dissect this.
All right.
Let's take the crap and divide it into different sections.
That's every Tuesday night.
How is this different from The Resistance?
How is it different? I will say they bring back a little bit more of their rock edge.
Okay.
That is one difference.
Fair.
I feel like the guitar actually comes back and plays a little bit larger of a role. But somehow at the same time, all the electronic crap doesn't play any less of a role.
No, it's
like
there.
they just pack it all in together and make this really dense sound where everything's happening at once, and it's kind of distracting. I don't know if you had the same experience.
I definitely did, and I think that the thing that bothered me most about this album is that it's really only about 9 tracks long before they introduce track 10 and 11, which have a different vocalist. I think it's Chris.
The bass player. He wrote and sang those songs.
In all honesty, those are my favorite songs on this album because they're the most rock-like songs on this album. Not that I expect or need Muse to be a rock band, I just need them to be a band that writes good music, and that only time I get that is on a track where Matthew Bellamy is not at the forefront singing, doing whatever he does, and then the last 2 tracks on this album are these like kind of different tracks, kind of like they did at the end of The Resistance.
Yeah, true. Now, with the 2 tracks that Chris sings, I think another thing that's important to note about why, at least I think, they're the best tracks on the album, is they're the only ones that aren't over-dramatic.
Right.
And that's not only because it's a different vocalist. I will say that's part of it, but even if you took the vocals out of the picture, those 2 tracks just feel so much more natural.
Right.
They just actually flow. I feel like they have a...
Yeah, they're well written.
Yeah.
I don't understand why Muse doesn't do more things like that. I mean, I have my beliefs, which is that, Muse is, kind of avant-garde, with the whole success of the Twilight series, they wanted to do more artistic and emotional pieces. I really don't have anything wrong with that, but how they do it is really what bothers me.
Yeah,
and it's, I really felt like in The Resistance they used a lot of cheap gimmicks. I don't feel like the cheap gimmicks are still here quite as much. I think you get a little bit higher quality sound writing, but just the electronic elements that they're using really just don't cut it for me as far as just having catchy melodies. When Supremacy, the opening track, starts, it's like, I was like, okay, this is kind of cool. And then these just really cheesy, synth violins come in, and it's just, it's awful in 80s. And then, the multi-tracked vocals, it comes off as just so over the top. It's just completely ridiculous, and I never really feel like that ends until Chris shows up as the lead singer.
And another thing that really bothered me about this album is the lyrics. I have to point that out. I don't know if I've just been paying attention to lyrics more lately, or if the albums we've been listening to put the lyrics and vocals more at the forefront. Maybe it's a combination of both. But in Muse's earlier work, Showbiz, Origin of Symmetry, even Absolution and Black Holes and Revelations, that's when it kind of started to change. They've never been that good. But when you think about the role they played in their earlier, more rock-oriented songs, it worked a little better. You didn't care as much because it was more about the intensity. It was more about the energy and how he was saying it than what he was saying. Here, though, they put so much focus on that, and they're obviously trying to make some kind of a point. I don't know, with The Resistance, we're uprising against something, and love was our resistance against something. I don't know what it was. Right. Do you?
No.
I'm not sure they do.
No. I think they were trying to start Occupy Wall Street.
They might have done it. Who knows? Here, we have a similar case. We've got something has supremacy. I'm guessing the government or something. You've got Panic Station. You got survival. You're trying to survive against something. I'm sure it gets explained somewhere in there, but. It's not something I can get behind. They're obviously trying to make a point. They're being very operatic, theatrical, dramatic about it, which brings you more to the presentation of what they're saying. But then once I actually focus on it, I'm like, I don't understand at all the point they're trying to make.
No, and one other thing that really got carried to a just new degree on this album that I think is just completely ridiculous. It adds to the over-the-top sentiments that I have about the album, is just Matthew Bellamy's vocals. He is clearly trying to mimic late 80s U2.
And Queen.
And Queen. It's just Bono all the way for me at sometimes, and it's just... Like, Bono has a great voice, and I know there's a lot of U2 haters out there, but I actually like a lot of U2's early work. But they use instrumentals to complement Bono's voice, and it works. It creates this, harmony between them. This does not do that. The electronic elements in Bellamy's vocals just seems over the top and pointless. And let alone just, he's not doing anything that's really original. Muse is not taking something and creating something new here. They're just kind of taking a bunch of old ideas, mashing them together, and making it as over the top as possible, and trying to just sell. I can't get behind it. I just can't put it.
Now let's address the elephant in the room here, and that's the dubstep.
Oh my God. I'm glad you brought it up.
Now we've got track 6, Follow Me, which I actually think starts all right. I like it all right when it begins, and then all of a sudden the chorus comes in and dubstep.
There is no more proof in the pudding than the fact that the second law contains at least 3 tracks with significant amounts of dubstep in it, that this band is resorting to gimmicks to sell albums. Dubstep, everyone knows it was so 2011. But it's dubstep has been so overdone the past year and a half, and now Muse just throws it into their sound for what reason?
They didn't need it.
What purpose does it serve?
I don't know.
It doesn't serve a purpose.
They really didn't need it.
You know what the purpose is? The record company says, we're going to sell some albums. Let's stick some dubstep in it.
It's true. Ridiculous. Everyone's doing it, man. Korn.
Yeah.
Muse.
Yeah. My only 2 track picks on this one, by the way, are the tracks that Chris sings.
I agree.
Yeah, they are clearly the best. But to me, though, it's sad though, because the album doesn't have a flow. You get 9 tracks of the Resistance Part 2, maybe a little bit better, and then these other 4 tracks that just were like B-sides that they just tacked on. So it doesn't even have an album flow too. This just all over just spells the word bad out in music. So I just can't get behind it. I'm going 46 on this.
I'm gonna go 50.
What did you guys think? Now remember, with any criticism that we give, when we're highly critical on an album, we're not behind it, you guys, it doesn't matter what we think. If you love the Second Law, if Muse and the Resistance and the Second Law are your favorite Muse albums, good for you. Love it. Listen the crap out of it. Just make it yours, Don't listen to what music reviewers say. Love the music that you want to love, because that's what music was made for, or to sell albums. But either one, as long as you're enjoying it, it doesn't really matter. That's the whole purpose of writing music in the first place. This is just entertainment. These are just opinions, so enjoy them and take them as such. And if you guys love it, we'd love to hear why you love it. What are the things about this album that makes it so awesome to you? Leave us a comment at www.velocitiesandmusic.com or youtube.com/velocitiesandmusic. Also, follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook. That's where you guys get to be part of the Velocities and Music conversation, and your presence is highly valued. You guys are what make VIMTV what it is. I'm Jake.
I'm Tom.
And we are VIMTV, moving music critique forward.